Hey guys, Dana Renee here, and I'm ready to chat. We're going to be talking today about something that we don't really like talking about. It can be uncomfortable, but we do need to talk about it, and that is money. Yes. So specifically, I'll be sharing with you guys our debt-free story, how my husband and I paid off over $200,000 worth of debt in just over 2 years. I'll share with you what was included in our debt, what life was like while we were in that amount of debt, what made us decide to get out of debt, and how did we do it? What plan did we follow to become debt-free in just 27 months? So for more, stay tuned. Okay guys, we're just going to jump right in with how much was our total amount of debt and what was included. So I mentioned in the intro that we were in debt over $200,000. $205,041 to be exact. Yeah, we had a lot of debt, but it only included 5 items. It was one department store card. We had 2 vehicles, but nothing crazy. A Honda Accord, a Chevy Tahoe. We had a home mortgage for a property that was not our primary residence. And then student loans. My student loans. Yeah. Here's a breakdown for you of those 5 items, what their individual amounts were, and then the percent of total debt. Yes, as you can see, my student loans accounted for over 50% of our total debt. It was a hard pill to swallow, and we had ourselves quite a hole to dig out of, but we did it. So clearly we had a lot of debt, and you might be wondering, well, what was life like for us when we were in all of that debt? And life was just great. Life was great. If you had asked us at that point how much that we were in, neither one of us could have told you. We were blissfully blind. We never tallied it up. We never budgeted. We just didn't really seriously talk about our finances back then. What we did know was that we were both gainfully employed. We made our payments comfortably between the two of us. We weren't late. We weren't delinquent. We weren't living paycheck to paycheck. We didn't feel any significant financial strain. We even had plenty discretionary funds left over, and we saved some, invested some, and we played with a lot of it. Entertainment and travel, we did quite often. So yeah, we were living our best lives, and if you had asked us how things were going, life was good. So you're probably thinking, if everything was so great, then why did y'all decide to get out of debt? Well, back in 2015, my husband was offered a job, and it was so exciting. It was the next step in his career, and it was just a great opportunity for him and for our family. But it would require us to relocate. So we had some things to think through as far as relocation expenses, down payments for a new home, and then we would have only one income for some period of time because I would have to quit my job and find new employment. So yeah, we had a lot to consider. So at this point, we've been married for about 4 years, and like I mentioned earlier, we didn't really discuss money in any great detail until this relocation. So now we both have full visibility into our finances, and for me, that was the game changer. Eye opener. You know how they say you see something that you can't unsee? That was it. Full awareness, and I could finally feel it. I felt the debt. It was heavy. It was limiting, and no, it did not feel great. Thankfully, we were still able to make the move. The relocation still made sense for us financially. So now we're here in Ohio, and it was about 5 months before I started working again, and I struggled the entire 5 months. I was embarrassed and I felt guilty, that I had created a large majority of this debt. And then now I'm not in a position to financially contribute. So I was stressed. And although my husband never complained, I could sense that he was stressed too. I mean, he had a lot on his plate and we had a lot to lose, if things didn't work out. So during that 5 months, I did a lot of research on how to get out of debt, and I was determined we were going to, and we did. All right, so now for the good part, the how. How did we pay off all of our debt? I have to say, at the beginning of the journey, it was a bit of a challenge, and that was because my husband and we were not aligned. We both agreed, yes, we needed to do something about the debt, but the how, the plan, and then the timeline, how aggressively we were going to pay down the debt, we did not agree on. So during my 5-month hiatus, when we made the move, I did a bunch of research and I ran across Dave Ramsey's 7 baby steps. Disclaimer, I am not pushing Dave Ramsey. I'm just telling our story. And when I found his steps, I'm like, great, there's a plan. It's clearly outlined. It's simple. It's easy. And based on that, we could pay off our debt in 3 years and 8 months. Yes. Sign me up. And when I presented this to my husband, I'm all excited, and he is just like, no. He was not buying it. He just didn't agree with parts of the Dave Ramsey plan, and then he also didn't see the need to pay it off so aggressively. He wanted a more leisurely approach, like an 8 to 10 year timeline. So needless to say, we had to have many discussions, and thankfully we were able to come to a compromise. So ultimately where we landed, we used Dave Ramsey's 7 baby steps as a guideline, and we made modifications so that both of us would be comfortable. So we essentially just consolidated the first 3 steps. The first step being a $1,000 emergency fund. My husband was not having that. We just moved, we were both now just working, and he wanted to build up our fully funded emergency fund first. So what we decided was that with his additional income, he would build up the emergency savings, and then with my additional income, I would start on the debt snowball. So we worked those 2 steps simultaneously. So we are now well on our debt-free journey, and we're working these 2 baby steps. I am chipping away at our debt, and my husband is building up our fully funded savings. There are a couple things that we did that I'll share with you today to ensure we met our goals. And the first would be a budget. It is mission critical. There's just no other way to track and manage your finances. And if you're going to get out of debt, you need to be doing just that. You need to know what's coming in, what's going out, and what you have left over to pay towards your debt. I used just a simple basic spreadsheet that I created myself, and I'm no Excel expert or anything like that. There are other online tools, apps you can put on your phone. There are so many tools and resources available that you can leverage to create a budget. And the key to it is to be realistic. So, it might take a couple months to get to that point, but keep working it. And once you nail it down, it's not going to vary, that much from month to month, and you're good to go. So yes, you have to budget in order to track your finances and get out of debt. So find something that works for you. So the second thing that was helpful in helping us to get out of debt was increasing our income. So with my husband's new job came an 80% increase, and he used that to build up our emergency fund. And with my new job came a 22% increase, and I used that towards paying off our debt. You know how they say, you have a plan and you put it out there and you're working your plan, and then the universe comes around you and, meets you where you are and helps you along the way. Well, I say God is good. 10 months into our debt-free journey, I was recruited by another company, and that job came with an additional pay raise. So at this point, I'm making 78% more than I was back in Louisiana. I mentioned my husband's making 80% more. So as a household, in less than a year, we're making 79% more than we were prior to the relocation. On top of our salary increases, my husband also received a couple bonuses. In addition to that, I also picked up a part-time job, working overnight at a hotel a couple days during the week and most weekends. And I did that for about 6 months, and all of that additional income also went to debt. So what did we do with all this additional income? We did not buy a better car, a bigger house, more stuff. Like, no, we worked the baby steps. We built up our savings. We paid down our debt. If there is a will, there is a way. And, you just have to be consistent, which is the next step. Just be consistent. Keep going. You have a plan, work your plan, know that life will happen along the way. There will be expenses that you just cannot foresee. That's what your emergency fund is for. You may have to, tweak your budget occasionally. Maybe this month you don't have as much as you thought. Next month you might have more. Just keep going. Find things that motivate you. For me, that feeling of debt, that heaviness, the limiting feeling, that stressful feeling, that was enough to keep me, moving down the path. And then there were times I would get frustrated because I can be impatient and things weren't moving as fast as I wanted them. I let that motivate me too. All right, well, this month, how much more can I scale back on my expenses? Like, what can I cut out so that I have more money at the end of the month to throw towards the debt so I can get through this thing, fast track it. So yes, let everything, use it as a motivating force instead of, you giving up. In order to stay consistent, you have to stay motivated. So find what works for you. I also had to plug into some online communities. In real life, we didn't know anyone who was doing what we were attempting to do. Our family and friends that were aware, they were very supportive and encouraging, but it was very helpful to see people that were going through it at the same time or that had gotten on the other side and now we're debt free. So YouTube was my friend, Dave Ramsey podcast, the Debt Free Screams. I just looked forward to the day where I could be on the other side saying we're debt free. And now we are. $205,041 paid off in 27 months, 2 years and 3 months. The journey was truly an exercise in patience, perseverance, partnership, but we did it. We are debt free. It's been about 4 years since we made our last payment. And what is life like being debt free? If I had to describe life after debt in just one word, I would have to say freedom. And I know it sounds cliche, financial freedom, like you hear it all over, but I really don't know any other way to describe it. It is truly freeing. We get to decide how we live our lives. Anything we do or don't do, it's solely based on, does this make sense for our family or is it in our heart to do? It is not dictated or driven or clouded by debt. Do we have to pay XYZ company or ABC company? That is not a factor. And that doesn't mean that we just spend frivolously, because we don't. We have gained great discipline in managing our finances and we're good stewards over that. But we get to decide. So yes, that is our debt-free story. I hope something that I shared today was helpful or motivating. If you're thinking about starting your debt-free journey, start. If you're currently on your journey, keep going. And if you are debt-free like us, congratulations. It is so worth it. I will be doing a part 2 on where are we now and what are our plans for our financial future. So look out for that. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and there's more to come. We appreciate your support and thanks for chatting with me today. Bye.